If you're seeing this before October 2nd, before our eclipse in Libra, let's have a chat about what we are going to be expecting and what we're going to be walking through pre-eclipse time, and including the eclipse itself. Okay, let's get into it. Starting today, as I film this Sunday, September 29th, Mercury, the Sun, and the South Node are all conjunct in Libra. Oh boy. The truths that have not been able to be spoken by you, whether they're good, bad, whatever it is, they're gonna be true, okay? And it'll be pretty easy to talk about them today. You might find yourself in a place of really deep, dark depths, trying to verbally communicate, physically communicate. Maybe you're writing things down. Maybe it's like the way that your body feels is trying to communicate something to you, all right? The way that communication is working today is revealing like the deepest, darkest truths of our justices and if they've been delivered to us or not, and what we want in the process of justice. That's also true and applicable. And we're in a balsamic moon, which means that we're grounding. I know people love salad, and I love that for you. The balsamic moon is the final moon before the new moon. Very tasty, very delicious, very nutritious, okay? So if you find yourself grounding and not really wanting to do much, that tracks with where the moon is at, especially because we're in eclipse season. That's like a heightened feeling right now. I literally got up today and my daily routine, I started it and I was like, no, fuck this, I'm done. I need to go sit down. So here I am. Yeah, so that's a part of this day. And a part of tomorrow too on September 30th. We're still going to be in that balsamic moon energy. If you wanted to revisit the new moon that happened, I think it was September 3rd or 4th, that was in Virgo. If you want to revisit that and just brush up on like what were your intentions, what were you doing, that would be a good idea if you feel like it's necessary. Then on the 30th, we're gonna have South Node at 6 degrees, Mercury at 7 degrees, the Sun at 8 degrees, and the dark moon at 10 degrees, all in Libra. Tracks. So they might not be in a conjunction anymore, but that's pretty dang close. That's basically a conjunction, all right? So we still have this like really heightened feeling of justice, this really heightened feeling of basically if you are able to take the time and make the time before this eclipse to just sit and do nothing and like make offerings and sit in your practice and do some divination work if you feel like it's necessary, meditate, cleanse, anything that you feel like you might need to do, that's a great idea. Okay, that's a really, really good. Fabulous. Do it for yourself. Then October 1st, the moon will enter Libra. We're also going to have Mercury conjunct with the sun, and then it's going to pass over the sun, and then it's going to be conjunct with the dark moon. So we just have this like bristle of energy. It's like someone is taking a brush to the darkest parts of ourselves and being like, let's make sure that this is clean. Or let's reveal this truth. What's under this rock? Can we flip it up? Let's look underneath of it. Saturn's in Pisces right now, so we're gonna be like really super freaking articulate about it also when it comes to spiritual practices and like spiritual truths. Oh yeah, I remember that person from years ago. I can't believe they did that. Let's break it down. Let's break it down and figure out why it hasn't gone away yet. Oh yeah, I remember that practice. Oh yeah, I remember that offering. Oh yeah, I remember. Let's track back. And look at all the details of why and how and when and who and what. A lot, okay? A lot. That's overwhelming for me. A lot. But because Saturn is Saturn, it asks us to just keep going. So that's a part of this, is like making sure that you're being consistent. There's not a lot of room for escapism and avoidance over the next several days. And if you do find yourself in escapism and avoidance, then more than likely it's going to feel wrong. Like sometimes you can be in escapism and avoidance and be like la-di-da and like whatever and just keep going. But over the next couple of days, probably that escapism or avoidance, if you find yourself in it, you're going to be like, something is off here. Like something is wrong, whether you're doing it consciously or not. So if you find yourself in that position, make sure that you listen to yourself, listen to your heart, listen to your mind. What do I need to do? What do I need to do right now? Because this is a time where we're working with unbinding still. Pluto's still retrograde. So we're unbinding those previous spiritual contracts. Goodness gracious, by looking at all of the different details that have come along with them. And this is going to be spiritual contracts, ancestrally rooted, okay, the life of water that runs through your veins, that connection. This is very much a time where the saying, what is it? The water of the womb is not thicker than the blood of the covenant or the coven. something like that. That's applicable right now. Okay, so they go together though. They're still both blood. Is what it is. And then we're gonna get super sciencey. All right, here's the eclipse path. Shout out NASA. So if you look there, it starts at 17 UTC, which there's a couple other websites I saw that it started a little bit earlier than that, but that's what we got going on at NASA. Was it .gov? Yeah. Okay. So shout out to that. And then what is it? 1830 between 1830 and 1900 UTC. So between 6:30 and 7 UTC, translate to your time zone as need be, for sure. That's when we have the eclipse that is like, it's an eclipse now, we are eclipsing. And then 2030? 2030 UTC, then we're done. We're done. That's it. Since the dark moon is involved with this, normally I give like, you could do this, or this is what this is going to be about. But because the dark moon is involved, it's going to be so dark and shadowed for every single person. And it's going to be so personal for every single person. So just look to the themes of justice and balancing and self-worth and what are you worth. If you work with Venus or understand Venus fundamentals, that's going to be a big part of this. This is a time of rebirth through an ending. So like the end of some sort of spiritual ancestral lineage work that you've been doing over the previous, basically since Pluto entered Capricorn, 2008. It's been a long time, okay? That's coming to a close. It starts with the eclipse, and then throughout from now until basically our next eclipse season in March of 2025, we're going through just like a string of endings, and then 2025 is, there's a lot of new stuff happening. There's way more to it than I will mention in this video, but there's a lot of new stuff happening. Endings, for personally, kind of difficult. Love new beginnings. I love trotting on to new stuff. Endings, though, they're a lot. So just be gentle with yourself. Be kind to yourself. There's probably some stuff that you've been blind to that's going to come to the surface in the next day or two or a couple days. That's true. If you're someone who gets through that shadow part of like all of the deep dark stuff and you find yourself sitting in the shadow just being like, what do I do now? Work your magic. Work your magic. Yeah. This is an eclipse where you could speak over a birth for yourself. You could speak in that deep dark place because of where Mercury is and because of where Venus is and Scorpio rulers right now. Okay, there's a lot that goes into it, but basically, not to get too nitty gritty, basically you could speak over yourself any sort of new birth for the next many years that you wanted to, and now you're contractually bound to it. So just be careful with that if you are not familiar with contractual bindings when it comes to like spiritual spoken word. And also, if you are familiar with it, well then, by goodness, by golly, go be jolly. Speak what you want over yourself and just understand that it's a contract you're probably not going to be able to get out of because you're making the contract with the stars themselves. So that's my advice to you. Gratitude, reverence, and love to you. I will be probably still resting. I've been resting so much this eclipse season. These eclipses could put me back on the ground. So I have been doing that, and it has been good and needed and necessary. I'm going to go back to reading my book, and I'll pick up my house chores later. Love ya. Talk to you soon.